I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Up first, an update on a deadly police shooting. The San Antonio Police Department says 5 officers opened fire on a suspect last week. SAPD says the suspect, 41-year-old Jaime Gonzalez, was driving erratically through the neighborhood before stopping in front of his home. According to investigators, he then went into his house, grabbed a gun, went back outside, and started shooting into the air. Once officers arrived, Gonzalez allegedly pointed his weapon toward them. That's when 5 officers shot and killed Gonzalez. The officers involved have between 5 and 7 years with SAPD. They're currently on administrative duty. Police say an armored truck driver was robbed at gunpoint south of downtown. Investigators say the robbery happened while the truck was stopped at a Chase Bank ATM on Goliad Road. Officers say 2 people in a black 4-door vehicle pulled up alongside the driver. One person exited the car, held the driver at gunpoint, and demanded money, according to police. The suspects then jumped back into the car and took off. Officers were able to detain them a short time later. A bag of money was discovered nearby, but police are still looking for the gun. A noise complaint led Bexar County deputies to an unlicensed hookah lounge. 3 men were arrested after deputies uncovered multiple violations inside the business. Earl Stoudemire explains.
Bexar County deputies say they went to the Leaf Hookah Lounge to find that alcohol and tobacco were being served without a license or permit. The Leaf Hookah Lounge is on the 6200 block of Benz Engelman Road. Deputies also say the lounge was over capacity and didn't have a valid certificate of occupancy. As co-owners, deputies arrested Frutinga and Emmanuel Kenna. They also arrested 50-year-old Bobby Britton, who they say was impersonating a security guard. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office told the fire marshal to investigate this business. All men have bonded out. Earl Stoudemire, KENS 5.
New video shows a family caught in their home during the July 4th flooding. Having barely escaped with their lives, they're now focused on rebuilding their home and business. Andrew Moore shows how local organizations are helping them move forward.
You stop getting the dogs!
It's 5 a.m. and the Guadalupe River is pouring into the Hudson's home.
Oh my God, look at this, Jennifer.
It blocks the back door.
Jack, we could lose our lives. What are we gonna do?
Frantically, the couple looks for another way out.
To the window while we have a chance.
They survive, clinging to the porch.
Yeah, we stood here hanging on for dear life. I had the little dog, 20-pound dog. He had the 120-pound dog.
The water was up to their shoulders.
Was up to here.
The flood trashed the property, tore everything out of their home, and tore through Jack's workshop for his furniture business. Now, thankful to be alive, their attention has turned to rebuilding.
The outreach of community support has been awe-inspiring.
Hudson says FEMA gave them funding for their home, and the business was able to get some help from the community and more help from the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce.
We're still in emergency stage.
Kathy Simmons, with the West Kerr Flood Relief Task Force, has spent more than a month trying to get help to local businesses.
Many of our individuals are sole proprietors. They're a lawn guy, a maid service, a little mom and pop store.
The West Kerr Chamber of Commerce received around $2 million from the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country to help flood victims, and another $500,000 to help businesses.
To continue to keep the lights on, pay a mortgage.
Simmons says they've connected to many businesses already, and they know there are more out there.
And we're not done giving money.
Well, we're just one, too.
We're just one, yeah.
I mean, there's the Hunt Preservation Society's giving money, area churches are giving money.
The West Kerr Chamber has a satellite office at 3285 Junction Highway in Ingram, and businesses are encouraged to stop by. The Hudsons say even with all that help, they don't know exactly when they will be able to reopen. Right now, they just take it one day at a time.
We survived, and we're grateful. And that is our focus.
In Kerr County, Andrew Moore, KENS 5.
A statewide change is now in effect, prompted by the Robb Elementary School shooting. The Uvalde Strong Act requires schools and law enforcement to be better prepared for an active shooter. Rania Kaur shows us what's in the new law.
For 77 minutes, law enforcement took no action to neutralize the shooter at Robb Elementary School. This bill aims to prevent something like that from ever happening again. The bill requires law enforcement to come up with their own crisis response policies and also mandates law enforcement agencies and EMS providers to complete training programs on how to respond to active shooter threats. The bill standardizes active shooter responses across agencies. Law enforcement and school districts have to now also have an annual active shooter response planning meeting and conduct multi-agency active shooter drills every year. Also, EMS now has to file reports after responding to active shooter incidents. Every school is now required to have at least one breaching tool and one ballistic shield available at each campus. This law went into effect yesterday, September 1st. This comes as Uvalde officials are continuing to release new documents that are giving us more insight into what happened the day of the Uvalde shooting and the days following. All of that coverage can be found on our website, KENS5.com. Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
School districts statewide are now required to display posters of the 10 Commandments in classrooms. It's all part of the controversial legislation known as SB 10. And while the bill remains tied up in legal limbo, at least one local teachers union is questioning whether it's constitutional. Zach Briggs has the story.
Our members have expressed deep-seated concern for them, for the well-being of their students, for equity, and are very, very firm on the fact that there should be a separation of church and state, and SB 10 is incredibly problematic.
Supporters of the new law argue displaying the 10 Commandments in classrooms is all about honoring the history of American morals, but critics and a recent legal decision have challenged SB 10, saying the legislation likely violates the First Amendment. Northside AFT President Melina Espiritu Azucar says the law is filled with discomfort and uncertainty.
Not all of our members are of a religious background that utilizes the 10 Commandments as well, and they feel that it is that SB 10 is unjust, not just to their students, but to them as well. And we feel very much the same way.
Alamo Heights, Lackland, Northside, and Northeast ISDs are among the 11 districts tied up in litigation. The law is not applying to them for now after a federal judge's ruling a couple weeks ago. The AG's office emphasized it's vital for every other district to enforce SB 10. No word on any penalties for schools that fail to comply. Meantime, Edgewood ISD emailed this statement. Under SB 10, schools that did not display the 10 Commandments before September 1st must accept donated posters or may choose to purchase them using district funds. Edgewood ISD has not received any donations and has not elected to use district funds at this time. Seguin ISD also got back to us, saying the district has not received any donated posters.
And we did hear back from the ACLU of Texas. They provided a statement that basically urges all school districts, even those not a part of the ongoing litigation, to not comply with SB 10 because of the recent federal ruling and due to the U.S. Constitution overriding state law. I'm Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.